Hey everybody, it's Jamie at One More for the Good Guys, doing some podcast tutorials here. We talked about signal flow in the previous video. This one I'm going to talk about the first thing I do once I have my track in place in my DAW. And this will apply no matter if you're using Logic, Pro Tools, Nuendo. I'm using Studio One today. So I've got a basic one track of mono microphone audio here. Let's take a listen.
I used to play with
everybody with the audio.
yeah, yeah. You can't really you can't slide. You can't hardly on a guitar. You can kind of slide your.
Okay, that's just the way it came into the recorder. So the first thing I do is I try to, if I have multiple tracks here, which I usually do, I adjust this to get as much gain without adding noise as I can, and then I make all the tracks uniform. So they're all similar in their gain. Okay. The first thing I do,
Your way around and
for example, I'll pull in another file here right next to that, and you'll see what I mean. Once this fills out, I just bring it up to similar. So I've got similar dynamic level. Okay. I'll mute that so we don't hear it. All right. Track one. The first thing I do after I do that is I put on a high pass filter using an EQ. And the EQ I'm going to use here is the PreSonus EQ that comes in the box. For this step, I recommend you using whatever your DAW EQ is. You want something that is as least taxing on your PC, or in my case, Mac, as possible. Okay, this is not a fancy EQ move at all, and all you're doing is removing some frequencies. Okay, so now you can see this. I'm just going to turn on this low cut.
And when we got in the studio with it, I was like, okay. I realize now that a lot of these notes I was trying to play ain't really.
And this is obviously overkill, but I'm doing this for effect.
I've got a not play right here.
You can see now that my center frequency is 191, and I'm rolling off, ending about 50 hertz.
I've always,
I changed this to a steep curve
in my head. I've sang to the bass player,
so I can get more of an exact cutoff. And I do this by ear and visual.
Roll off me, but if the bass player hits
that's too much.
It's like a shock to my system because I'm singing to it. You know what I mean? And if I hear them,
and that's
lost,
about right.
I'm more apt to go, wait, what was that?
So what are we doing by doing this? We are removing all this frequency down here. Well, you might say, I can't hear that. I understand that, and most people can't. But this is cumulative. So you've got 20 tracks of all this rumble down here. It's going to add noise floor to your mix. So I just set the low pass filter, and they're calling it low cut here, which is the opposite. High pass filter is what this is, meaning it passes through the high frequencies, and the low frequencies it does not. They're calling this low cut, which is the opposite of high pass filter as far as naming it, but it does the same thing. So this is cutting the low frequencies. Yours may say HPF. If you click on HPF, it'll look similar to this. Okay, that's the first thing I do. I do it for every track, and where I set this depends on the instrument. If this is bass or kick drum, this is going to be down in here or lower. For vocal, I usually set it about 80, and then I use my ear to adjust. That is a high pass filter, in this case low cut, and this is One More for the Good Guys. See you next time.